I wanted to say thank you guys again for taking the time to talk with me. I'm a huge Superman fan, and I have to say, and I'm not just saying this, this is my favorite version of Superman since the Christopher Reeve movie. Like
We love the
Yeah.
Christopher Reeve movie. Thank you, Richard.
this is amazing. So I have so many questions I want to get into. I just have to start with I'm so curious about the development for the show because I remember when it was announced and it just kind of came out of nowhere. By the time it aired, it was the first Superman show, animated show on the air in 17 years. So I'm curious as to how you guys went about, like, what was the development process like for this in terms of pitching and what your guys' conception was for the show?
Yeah, so Brendan and I originally developed it. We were honestly just talking about superhero fatigue, ironically. And we were like, man, I'm tired of everybody. Who are you still interested in of all the superheroes? And we both settled on Superman, and then we started working on yeah. Then we started working on a pitch, which we didn't even get to, yeah, they asked us for one, like they smelled it, like they heard it in the air. So Audrey Deal had us come over and pitch Superman show. We developed it for about a year and we got a pilot order from HBO Max. And so we called Josie and we're like, hey, we have to write a pilot now. And then Josie came on.
Yeah.
And so what's fun about season 2 in relation to the development is we were just saying this earlier. Season 1, when you're pitching television, you pitch season 1 in some amount of detail, right? And you're like, this is what we promised to do. And then for season 2, you're like, right? And then they're like, great, Supergirl. And then you leave. So when we got the 2-season order, we had one season that was pretty cracked, right? Like we had to fill in a lot of gaps, but many of the big beats were already there, like Mala and Mixie, and so many of these things were already in the pitch. Season 2 had been like Jazz Hands and Supergirl. So we got to really figure out season 2 with our room of writers in a way like we didn't know what it was going to be. Like we knew how it more or less ended emotionally, but we just didn't know what it was. So that was really fun to break that on the fly with like a room full of extremely talented writers led by our very own Josephine Campbell. It was great. And so season 2 was a surprise to us, which I think is going to make it more of a surprise to you.
And I would say, like, I loved coming on, like, even at the pilot, like, at the time I was the head writer for Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, and then Brendan and Jake wined and dined me at Volcano in Burbank and like walked me through, like they had the images for Lois, Jimmy, and Clark, and I was like, oh yeah, oh yeah. Like as soon as like I'm seeing the pictures, I'm like, yeah, I'm in. I'll write the pilot. Whatever. Dinosaurs are done now. Superman's my new best friend. And then season 2 was a lot of fun because it's exactly what Jake said. Of yeah, we had like Krypton question mark like make season profit like basically written down as our goal. So actually sitting there and being like, okay, how do we naturally evolve the story from season 1, and like what big things do we hit to make it feel just as big if not bigger, was so fun.
My other favorite thing about season 2 is that the clearest and most important thing about the season 1 pitch was like these 3 characters, right, had to be clear and solid and figured out. But we didn't have the season 2 characters figured out. So like it was really fun to create like the personalities and the insane conversations. Like we said the words wire mom in the season 2 room like so many times.
A lot.
And like the weird places that we ended up diving to like flesh out these characters and their relationships who you're gonna meet was so fun and so weird and so unexpected.
I mean, that kind of segues into my next question because, the first season you guys introduced you brought in a lot of, lesser appreciated Superman villains into the front and center, but now we're kind of bringing in the heavy hitters, your Lex Luthors. You teased Brainiac at the end of season 1, and you're also bringing in Supergirl. So what was the process in bringing in the bigger characters now as opposed to season 1?
Brendan should tell us why we didn't bring Lex Luthor until now.
Yeah.
Hold on to.
Wait, what?
So developing season 1, sort of to your first question, Jake and I kind of had a version of the story that was, a little more like here's all these villains, like Lex Luthor and Metallo and stuff like that. And the execs wisely told us, hold off on all that.
You can't touch any of that. I believe Sam Register's words were, you haven't earned the right.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, that's kind of why you haven't seen a lot of the big hitters yet. We love them and we want them to show up, which is why it's something to do in season 2.
And what Brendan's not saying is that he's the one who snuck Alex into season 2.
Yes.
Brendan is the reason we have Lex Luthor. He just put him in there, and then the execs were like, "This Alex guy, is he Lex?" And Brendan was like, "Do you want him to be Lex?"
It was literally
you just have to. give it to. So
It was Inception levels of like slowly but surely, like Sam being like, I like Alex. What's his deal? And we're like, well, Brendan, unleash Brendan.
Yeah,
That-
so we genuinely wouldn't have Lex Luthor in season 2 without Brendan.
Yeah.
Because
That
Josie
works
and I,
so-
we're not going to get that far out of line.
I can't have Superman without Lois Lane or Lex. Like that's just me.
I mean, that worked so well because I remember when Alex showed up, I remember texting my friend in that episode. I was like, "Is that Lex Luthor?" And like we spent so when the trailer came out and like it confirmed it, we both texted each other like, "It is Lex." So that was such a good sneak.
I'm glad. Yeah, the reaction to it has been awesome, and I'm glad Jake and Josie let me do it.
No, it was
Yeah.
really fun to see everybody flip out and be like, wow, if this was like an intentional, like viral withholding of Lex Luthor, like it couldn't have worked out better, but
Yeah.
it was just Brendan trying to break the rules.
And that was such a good choice. And that does make me curious because you're bringing in Supergirl this season, and I just have to know, as a fan, are you guys interested, or can you give us any hints of maybe we'll see other characters like Crypto, or Lois has a sister, we haven't met Lucy yet, or
There is actually a crypto cameo in season 2, and I defy anyone to actually find it. Like if you can find a screenshot of crypto,
Yeah.
this is not to the internet at large, but if you personally, Richard, can find the screenshot of crypto, I will draw you a crypto and mail it
The
to your
instant
house.
this hits the internet, though, you're gonna have people tweeting at you, or Xing at you, or whatever it's called, and being like, "I found him, though. Where's my drawing?
Where's my crypto nerd?" Yeah, so he shows up because design snuck him in. Again, it wasn't us; it was the designers who were like,
Yeah.
"I'm putting the dog in there."
So sometimes things just get by you. It
Oh,
works on all levels.
I'm gonna say there will be some deep cuts of just DC Universe stuff in general, and some are Easter eggs, some are a little bit more fleshed out. But yeah, if you thought there was references in season 1, get ready for season 2.
guys dropped so many great ones in season 1, so I'm now so excited even more. And I'm going to be watching every week now, keeping my eye peeled for Crypto. I guess I have one final question then, and it is about, you guys talked about like superhero fatigue, and
Oh, no.
this is more of a positive,
Okay.
one thing that I love about this show, and because this was always this feels like the Superman story that I've waited my entire life to see. I described it to my friend as it's like if Nora Ephron did Superman, which is
Ah!
That's so kind.
I love that.
and you develop the romance and these character dynamics, focusing on their friendship. That's honest, and I'm now equally as excited, if not more excited now, just to see their relationship develop as I am for the action scenes. I'm still very excited for the action scenes. But what can we expect going into season 2 now that, Clark and Lois's relationship has taken some big steps and Jimmy's now a millionaire? So what are the dynamics fans can look forward to?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is, season 1 is a little bit the honeymoon period of like, they're learning about each other. Lois and Clark are falling in love. Lois, Jimmy, and Clark are becoming a trio. And I think season 2 is testing all of those bonds and
Yeah.
testing those relationships and
Yeah.
seeing what survives, what's being thrown at them, and what falls apart. So it's going to be very emotional for all of the characters, but definitely the 3 of them. They've hit the hard part of being in relationships and having friendships, and we'll see what comes out the other side.
Yeah. So the way I talked about it earlier is in season 1, we really put Clark individually through the ringer, and Lois and Jimmy were there to help and support him. In season 2, no one is spared.
Yeah, we built them up in season 1, so
Now we break them.
yeah, I hope nothing bad happens to them.
I hope,
Yeah.
hope nothing bad happens to 3 best friends.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm already prepared for my heart to be broken. Well, guys, seriously, thank you so much. This was a real pleasure. I cannot undersell how much I love this show. And when I was given the chance to interview you guys, I leaped at the chance. So
Awesome.
Well, thank you, Richard.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
thank